Welcome everyone to A Dark Tale, where the stories get real dark real fast. As usual, we have 3 stories for you today. But before we start with the stories, I would like to welcome all the new subscribers to the channel. I notice every single one of you, and you have suddenly grown in number of subscribers. Hopefully by the end of this year we can hit 1,000 subscribers. And if you haven't clicked subscribe yet and you watch my channel, please do that, so it will help me as a small time content creator to gain more traction and continue doing this, because this is something that I love to do. And thanks for everyone who have signed in their submissions, have talked to me. I appreciate every one of you for being brave and sharing your stories with us, so we can continue to do more. And with that, let's roll the intro. So for the first story, I want to ask all of you guys, how many of you here have kids? And well, if you know kids, they do the weirdest thing, and this is what happened to the next story. So without waiting too long, let's dive into the first story of the night. So what the person have told me is that being a parent comes with a lot of emotions. It's rewarding, challenging, and sometimes genuinely surprising. When my son first started speaking in short sentences, I was thrilled, but soon as his new skill took a strange turn, it started to creep me out just a little bit. He started pointing at blank spaces, usually high up at the top corners of the walls. Other times he would stare out the window, waving high and waving for someone to come over. So like the kid looking at the window and then say like, "Come, hello." At first I brushed it off. It's just a toddler being a toddler, I thought. The paranormal was the last thing on my mind, because I've never experienced anything like that before. But one specific night completely changed my perspective on the supernatural and how seriously I took my son. For context, my husband works in the marine sector. He goes out to sea for months, and at a time, which is why it was just me and my son at that night. So we had been visiting our aunt, and by the time we left, it was almost about 1 a.m. We took a grab back home, and at the time our estate was brand new, specifically Tengah. If you were one of the early residents moving into Tengah, you'll know that GPS maps back then weren't updated yet. So when I was in the Grab, the driver kept making wrong turns over and over again, missing the block entirely. Seeing that we were close enough, just 1 block from ours lah, I told the driver to just drop us off so we could walk the rest of the way. Now, for anyone who live in Tengah, right at the start, you know how heavy and eerie the feeling was back then. It's hard to put into words, but walking through it just made you feel deeply uncomfortable. My son was walking beside me, so our pace was slow. So you know, the mother just walking with the kid slow through the corridors. As we made our way through the void deck and the corridors of the neighbouring block, motion sensors light flickered on with every step I took. But up ahead there was a dark stretch where the sensors failed to light up, I guess. As we approached the dark section, I noticed my son shrinking closer and closer against my leg. Just as we passed the block's lift lobby, the temperature suddenly plummeted. It got almost freezing cold in an instant. The next thing I heard was my son letting out a sharp gasp before grabbing my leg tightly. I immediately squatted down to carry him, but by the time he was already sobbing. So when they were walking, suddenly the son came closer and closer and started to hold the mother's leg. Then he's like so the mom went down and then said like, what happened? Mama is here. There's nothing, just calm down. But what's wrong? What my son did next was he pointed up to the ceiling of the lift lobby. His eyes squeezed shut in fear. I looked up and I saw nothing. What is it? I asked. He whimpered, Monta. I didn't quite catch it. Huh? Monta, Monta, Monta. He cried out, hitting my arm weakly while keeping his eyes tightly shut. So he said, Monta, Monta, Monta. That was what he was doing. I paused a while and tried to make sense of what he was saying. Monta, monster, monster. The exact moment I realized what he was saying, a cold chill ran down my entire spine. Monster? I asked softly. He just nodded. Then he whimpered, now monster, happy. My heart sank. Dread hit me instantly. That's what he said, but I'm not going to say the word. But I shouldn't have said it out loud. I shouldn't have acknowledged it. I told him, close your eyes, put your head down. I held him tight and walked as fast as my leg could carry me, carrying a terrified toddler while trying to outrun an unseen presence wasn't easy, but the adrenaline took over. When we finally reached our block's lift lobby, I hesitated before pressing the button. I needed to know if it was safe. I couldn't risk bringing up whatever that was back in our house. So when they're walking past the block and then finally they reach their lift lobby, the mom squat down again and then asked him, is everything okay? Like, is it all gone? Then he picked open his eyes, he looked around, then he said, yeah, yes, that one is gone, but now got many friends playing at the playground. Friends at the playground? It was almost 1 plus. What friends at the playground? So I told him, no, I think it's time to sleep. I pulled him closer. I rushed to leave and went straight back home. Thankfully, nothing followed us that night. Looking back, it's still hard to digest. He's just a little kid, but I remember hearing stories about my late grandfather having the third eye, an ability to see things beyond our realm. He passed away when I was young, so I never thought much of it. I certainly didn't expect my own son to inherit it. I just pray that as he grows older, his third eye slowly closes. But only time will tell, and that was my experience. So that was the first story of tonight. And if you guys realize, I told the place of what it was because that place is Tengah Residence. And if you guys haven't been to Tengah Residence, it's like a new estate in the west side of Singapore, where they cleared a whole ass big plot of forest and they started building houses. So it's considered BTO. A lot of things are still going under renovation, but the feeling there, it's super duper creepy. And so yeah, I've heard a lot of stories of that place being haunted, and these stories are all I compiled way back when Tengah just started, and there were so many stories. But thankfully, there was one comment that asked about talking about Tengah residents. So I managed to get back all the stories, and this was the first story. So for the second story, we have the same place, Tengah estate, but this time it's a bit of a short story. But this story has been told to me by many people, the same exact experience over and over again at every single unit. So let's move to the second story for tonight, where it's about the Tengah story. So as usual, again, we have 3 stories, but if we have enough time, definitely we'll do 4 stories, because I do have one more story for you guys. Anyway, before I start the next story, don't forget that if you want to send your submission in, go to my TikTok page and then send your submission in through DM, and I will accept the request, and then we can start chatting. So usually when you send your stories to me, I will ask you for a few questions, ask about maybe the year it happened, is there anything else around your house, do you pray to a certain like, do you have amulets or deities, or where do you get your stuff, so that I can explain in detail to the audience before just having just like a brief description. So let's move on to the second story for tonight, which also happened at Tengah. So let's continue the second story. So for this second story, there is a title, and it was called Unexpected Guest from Before. 2 years ago, me and my wife finally got the keys to our house after waiting 4 years for our BTO. After getting our keys, we went to buy all the necessary items, because it's a BTO, so there's nothing much in the house. So the main important thing is that we went to buy pineapples and all the other stuff lah, for making our way to the house. So fast forward, we reached our unit, and we opened the door, rolled the pineapple, opened up all the windows to bring in fresh wind and light through the unit. So now we fast forward, and we were exploring the house, looking at what renovation needs to be done and like designs. But it was getting quite late, and we thought, why not we have dinner at our new place, because we were extra excited. So we ordered food, and by the time it came, it was already quite late lah. And the house was pitch black, but thankfully one of the items we bought was a night light, so at least we had a bit of light in the hall. So it's those kind where you plug in straight to the wall, and then you can those socket, and then there's a light lah. So what we did was we unpacked all the food, and we sat right in the middle of the hallway, facing the walkway to all the rooms. So now the BTOs are like the hall, and then there's a long corridor where you have rooms and rooms, depend on how many rooms you have lah, 3 rooms and 4 rooms. So they were sitting right in the middle of the hall, where they can see the entrance of the rooms. So when we opened the food, we started chatting away and everything. But while we were talking, so we packed our food, everything. I mean, once we were done, we keep our food. And when we were talking, something caught my eyes. What I saw was a shadow figure peeping from our master bedroom to the hall. Its bloodshot red eyes just staring me down. At first I thought it was just my imagination due to the low lighting. But the longer I started to glance, I realized I could start to make out more features. The eyes, the head shape, the white smile, and that's when I realized the creature was actually hanging from the ceiling. So when they were eating and then they were talking to each other, they were facing the hallway, and I'm guessing the master room door was maybe slightly open. And when he glanced there, instead of seeing like a tall figure, what he realized was he was seeing an upside down face. So the thing was like crawling on the ceiling on all fours. I stopped my wife that was talking halfway and told her that we need to leave right now. So we packed up everything, and just when we were about to leave, then what I heard was a small chuckle. My wife turned to me and said, "Hey, what's that? You want to go and check it out now? Because there's nobody in the house. So what was that sound?" Then what I replied was, "Heck no, we are going back now." So I locked up the place and we left, only returning back with a spiritual practitioner to bless the place and cleanse the place for us. And thankfully, now we have no disturbances. But that day is something that I'll never forget, because that was my only experience in the paranormal. So that was the second story that we have for tonight. And this story is something that I think a lot of Tengah residents actually face. Sorry, I was looking there because I thought I heard a noise. But okay, there's nothing much there lah. But this story is something that I've heard a common theme. So I actually got a few submission of these kind of stories again and again and again. But I just read this one lah, because a lot of them don't really have a lot of description, and this was the only one that described to me what the entity actually look like. So imagine if you were staying in your own house and then you saw this creature crawling on the ceiling, not peeping at you, not standing at one corner of the house. It was crawling from the ceiling. What would you guys do? For me, I would do exactly what the person in the submission did lah. I'll probably pack up and then come back only with a practitioner lah. So now we come down to our third story for tonight. And looking at the time, I think we are at about 17 minutes. So maybe we have one more story to tell you guys. And so with that, let's move on to the third story. And it's also from Tengah. So last time what I heard was that Tengah got a lot of ghost stories, because a lot of people get disturbances in their house, under the block. Because if let's say you are one of those people that moved in earlier, the whole estate is actually empty. Not just your estate, but the neighboring places, everything is empty, because Tengah is huge. And just imagine, there are times when I saw blocks where it's totally dark and there's one house that is still open. So he's the only one living at that house or that block. So it's super eerie lah. But thankfully, from what I know is that the more people start to move in and do their prayers, doesn't matter what religion lah. You can be a Christian, a Buddhist, a Muslim, whatever it is. As long as they do some kind of cleansing, I hope the spirits or whatever is here leave the place lah. So with that, let's move on to the third story of tonight. And the story goes something like this. So what this person have said is that Tengah was supposed to be the new smart green town in Singapore, but when my partner and I moved in, most of the blocks weren't even occupied yet. At night, the whole area felt like a literal ghost town. Pitch black, dead silent, and surrounded by the remnants of a forest that have stood untouched for a very, very long time. For me, personally, I believe in spirits to a certain extent, but I'm not particularly superstitious. My partner, on the other hand, is very sensitive to these kind of things. So every strange knock or slamming in the door was immediately attributed to the paranormal. I thought honestly she was overreacting a bit, but I kept quiet because I didn't want to downplay her feelings. Very, very smart man. Looking back, the estate felt like it was completed in a total rush. When you clear an untouched forest like that, the entities living inside don't just disappear. They look for new homes, and our block was one of the very few units with lights on. So they were one of the first batch to move in lah, like I was saying just now. The first incident happened after I parked my vehicle in the multi-story carpark just opposite my block. Usually what I do is after I park my car, I don't immediately go back home, but I light up a cigarette, take a smoke break, scroll through TikTok, and once I'm done, then I'll head back up lah. So this car park, since it was quite new, it was totally empty, hardly any car around, and the cars were usually on the first floor. So what happened was that I was standing at the third floor, and if you see multi-story car park, you can actually see through to the fourth floor. There's some kind of railing, those where you can see the fourth floor, the next, like where you have 3B, 4A, that kind of thing lah. So while I was standing there smoking, I suddenly heard heavy footsteps coming from the level right above. So when you're smoking, then when I was using my phone and then smoking, I looked up immediately, but what I saw was no one at all. I figured I was maybe just hearing things, and I looked back down at my phone. That's when the footstep did something impossible. Usually, when you walk, you probably go from the left to right, so you hear the duk, 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 duk. But for this incident, what happened was the sound came from the left, duk, 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 and when you look up, the sound disappeared. The weirdest thing was the sound teleported to the right side and then continued walking. This made me completely stunned. What I did was throw my cigarette and decided to head straight back home. As I walked out of the car park, I still had this sickening feeling of being followed. I couldn't resist turning around for one last look down the dark ramp. I don't know why would you do that lah. And to my horror, what I saw was a pitch black shadow shaped like a person peeking at me from behind one of the concrete walls. So I whipped back around, kept my head down, and started frantically reciting prayers under my breath. Whatever prayers that came into mind, I read it. Just as I was reaching the lift lobby, I felt a sudden cold breath, and what I saw was, so when I was standing at the lift lobby, I saw another head coming here and whispered softly into my ears. I couldn't understand what the voice said, but I didn't wait to find out. I sprinted to the lift, slammed the door button, and ran straight into my unit once I reached my floor. Thankfully, that was the end of the night. Or so I thought. 2 days later, I realized that whatever was in the car park might have followed me home. So what happened was, my second experience, me and my partner was lying in bed watching a horror movie on our phones lah, because at that point the house was just built and they don't really have a lot of appliances. So they were just using their phone and watching a ghost movie. And we are both big fans of the genre, so we always try to catch the latest release. Just as the movie was coming to an end, I jokingly said out loud, "Aiya, this ghost also don't know if it's real. Only in movies ma." My partner playfully smacked me "Stop it." And we both went back to looking at our phones, continuing the movie. A moment later, out of the corner of my eyes, I noticed two massive solid figures standing at the corner of our room. They were unnaturally tall, so tall that they had to bend their heads down from the ceiling looking at us. The air in the room instantly turned heavy and the vibe was very evil and malicious. I slowly turned to my partner to see if she noticed them. She didn't look up at the corner, but she shot me a stern look. She put her index fingers to her lips and went, "Shh." That's when I realized that she knew exactly what's happening. She had felt their presence the whole time and purposely avoiding eye contact with them. Suddenly a wave of pure dread washed over me and my partner. Sat up. So what we did was we sat up straight on the bed. Her eyes were completely blank, and then what she started doing was rocking back and forth with a rhythm. So just doing this. I panicked and realized something was trying to take hold of her. Operating purely on instinct, I reached out and slapped her across the face. She instantly snapped back to consciousness, looking around the room, completely dazed. Like, where am I? Before I could even ask her if she was okay, she just suddenly lay down and immediately collapsed into a deep sleep. Even though she had been wide awake on her phone just like a while ago, seconds ago. The next morning I asked her about it, but she couldn't remember anything other than falling asleep. So to this day, we still experience the occasional strange occurrence in our unit. But that night taught me a hard lesson about speaking too carelessly in a place where the old forest used to stand. So what do you guys think of this story? Did you think that it's one entity from the carpark that followed him home? Or was it because he saw two entities at home? So technically he experienced three entities at the same time. I mean, but technically in Singapore, once you buy a house, you're going to be committed all the way, maybe minimum 5-10 years before you can sell the house. So that's the reality of Singapore lah. So if you guys, any of you stay in Tengah and you still have experience, or maybe you know roughly which block to go to, do let me know in the comments. But if you're shy to put in the comments, don't forget to go head over to our TikTok page and send me a DM there lah. But there's not much videos there because I'm trying to post more on YouTube. But eventually I'm trying to cut the long videos into shorts so that you guys can have a smaller version and like a summary of sort lah. So technically that was the end of the 3 stories I have. And let's do a time check lah. Right now it's about 28 minutes. So I think I still have time for one more story. And the reason why I didn't do this story is because it's honestly quite irrelevant. But since we have a bit of time today and the confessions today was a bit short, let's dive into the new one. So this was the experience that this guy had. So how many of you guys actually have went for road trip with friends or family or maybe even alone? Have you guys experienced anything weird happening maybe in your hotel room or at the side of the road? That's a lot of type of things that can happen lah. But maybe I can do an episode about overseas. So if you guys have any stories, don't forget, go to my DMs and let's keep this channel growing. Again, thanks for all the new subscribers. Hope you like my content and I'll make more of it. If you love my content, please do give it a thumbs up and just comment down below because that helps me reach more people, which would help me in the future. Because the most important thing is that if you guys, especially those who don't have any ghost experience before but love horror content, just imagine getting real life horror content for you guys. I think you guys are going to love it. So with that being said, let's dive into the 4th story of tonight. So today is a bit special lah. We have 4th story, and for this story it's a road trip story lah. So I'm going to just read it for you and you guys tell me what you guys think. So a while back, a group of my friends decided to take a road trip up to Malaysia. Because I had some last minute work to catch up, I told them to, you all drive up first lah, later I follow you guys. Because the custom wouldn't be jammed at night, there won't be any kind of traffic. So after I was done with work, I packed before I reached my office, I actually packed all my bags and left it in the car so I can straight away shoot to wherever they are at lah. So I slammed my laptop shut. After crossing the border, the GPS guided me towards a quiet exit through a toll plaza. So before that, he was making a long trip, and just before, I think maybe the map showed him to exit a toll lah, which he did. So when I entered from the toll, what I realized that civilization just vanished. There was nobody there, not even a single person there. The road ahead was pitch black, no street lamps, zero traffic, and what it seemed like in the dark was thick endless jungle just as far as the eyes can see. The only thing illuminating the road was my own headlights, and mind you, I was completely alone in the car. So what I did was I turned on some tunes to keep myself awake, keeping my eyes laser focused on the dark road ahead. I was at a point cruising around, I don't know if I can say this now, but since it's anonymous, I was travelling around 120 km per hour. When out of nowhere, my headlights caught a shape on the side of the road. It was like a woman standing by the jungle edge, waving a hand to flag me down. As I sped past her, her eyes locked directly into mine. A strange, sharp look that felt impossible for someone to look at me while I was doing that kind of speed. It shocked me because what was a woman firstly doing out here in the middle of nowhere? Did her car break down? Was she in danger? So my instinct took over and I swerved straight away to the shoulder lane and jammed my brakes so I can help her. My initial thought was to step out and check on her, but sitting alone in the dark made me cautious. So I decided to just reverse back to where I saw her. So what he did was he shifted to reverse. He checked his side mirrors, his rear view mirrors, but everything was pitch black. Even when I was in my reverse and the dash cam, it was even that was pitch black. So what I did was, instead of relying on the cameras and everything, I just started reversing. And because as I was reversing, if there was light, you can see the person standing there So he continued reversing lah. I reversed and reversed, but she never appeared. So I was thinking to myself, did I really stop that far ahead? I thought, but I kept backing up for what felt like eternity until I finally put the car in park. And so what I did was I just left the engine running and I stepped out. I walked around the car and looked down both sides of the road. There was absolutely no one around. It was completely impossible for her to have walked away that fast. There was nowhere to hide unless she had jumped straight into that pitch black jungle. Confused, I just convinced myself my tired eyes were just playing tricks on me, and I just got back into the car. The moment I shut my driver door, an overwhelming unnatural fragrance filled the cabin. It was a heavy, sweet floral scent, almost suffocatingly strong. So what I did was shrugging it off because we are in the middle of the forest, so there is chance when I open the door for the smell to come in lah. So I thought it's okay lah, never mind. I put the car in drive and sped off to maintain my pace to reach there in time. So when I was driving, that's when I started to hear movement behind me. I had stacked a few gym bags and luggage on the rear seat, and it sounded like something was rustling through them. So you heard the So what I did was, when you heard this kind of sound and there's nobody around, my first thought was to look up at the rear view mirror to see what was happening, if something is dropping or anything. But what I saw was sitting right in the middle of the back seat was the woman that I saw in the middle of the road. Panic surged through my body. So the moment he looked up, he swerved his car, and the car veered widely through the roadside ditch, and at the very last second, I slammed my brakes all the way to the foot, held my hands on the steering wheel, and jerked back straight back into the lane. Thankfully, I managed to save it. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I was trapped. So the thing was inside with him, and he couldn't do anything because he was driving and he didn't want to stop again. So this time, the sweet floral smell grew even stronger. It felt like the entity realized that I knew she was there, and the disturbances just started escalating again and again from there. So first I would hear rustling sounds, like people going through my items. But the worst part of it all was I heard a knock on my passenger side window from inside of the car. So if it was like an animal or what, there's definitely no knocking sound, but he heard it from inside the car. I gripped my steering wheel so hard, my knuckles turned white, my hands were numb, my palms were sweating. I knew one rule: do not acknowledge it, and basically don't make eye contact, don't say anything, don't acknowledge the presence at all. So that's what he did. He didn't look back, he didn't make eye contact. After seeing the thing, he just continued driving again. So as I was driving, finally I was going on my way, and I kept my eyes locked on the road ahead and drove like a man possessed until finally the glowing lights of a roadside eatery appeared in the distance. I pulled into the lift parking area, killed the engine, and scrambled in a state of pure shock. I popped open all 4 doors of the car. Looking back, that was extremely reckless. So before he went to eat, he opened up all the doors, everything, then he went to just sit down and go and eat lah. Because I could have just easily been ambushed or robbed, but at that moment I just wanted whatever was inside the car to get out of the car. So what I did was I sat at the makan place, the eatery lah, for 30 minutes to relax, calm down, get a drink. When I finally gathered the courage to walk back to my car, the heavy floral smell was now completely gone. But when I checked the back seat, my bags had clearly been shifted around. I made it to the hotel where my friends were staying, so I entered the room, washed up everything first, and immediately I asked everyone to gather and told them what happened. They listened in total silence before telling me how lucky I was. Stopping late at night on dark Malaysian highways is a massive risk. So not just because of like entities and ghosts and everything, that is one huge part. But there's also another part where there are robberies, stage breakdowns and everything lah. So thank God that night everything was safe. But it taught me a valuable lesson that I will never forget. When you're driving alone on a dark foreign highway, no matter what you think you see, you should never ever stop. So that was my last 4th story about traveling. Usually this kind of story I will save it for when there's a theme about traveling, but since today we have a bit of time, I went back into the folders and picked up one more story. So how many of you actually have this kind of experience? Honestly, going to KL, Genting and everything so many times, especially KL lah, but I've been told to, if let's say there's anybody trying to flag you down, say that they break down, let the professional handle it and don't go and stop there, because there is a lot of cases of people getting robbed. So don't be the first victim lah that is like Singaporean. So that was the last and final story. Again, if you guys, thanks everyone for subscribing. I went from 800 plus to now about 900 plus. So I think that's about 50 people that joined recently. About there lah, I guess. And if you guys who watch my videos, because I see 200 views, 300 views, not much, but there's only like one subscriber that get it from that video. So if you guys want more stories, do go and subscribe and comment down below for me, because that will help me the most. So that is the final story. If you guys got any other questions, do let me know down in the comments again, and I'll try my best to answer them. And now, since we have ended the story, I want you guys to tell me, maybe in the next episode, if let's say we hit 1,000 subscribers, should we go outside exploring? Maybe it will be a bit blur lah, but I'll try my best to help you guys get a beautiful video HD lah. But again, no promises. But if you hit 1,000 subscribers, all of you guys put in the effort, just subscribe to me once. The moment I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll go and visit maybe abandoned place or something that is legal lah, because I cannot post if it's not legal, right? So it must be legal. Then support me. Go and comment down below where you want me to go. If not, go to my next video next week and then comment down where you want me to go. And if I hit 1,000 subscribers as promised within this year, I will do something special for you guys. So maybe exploring or anything lah. You guys give me a suggestion. If you guys are shy to comment, don't forget to go to my TikTok and DM me there. I try my best to answer as quick as possible lah. And hope you guys don't mind when I ask you more details, because details are very, very important. So without thinking too much, thanks for watching. This is a dark tale where the stories get real dark real fast. And if you guys love the episode, just go down to my other episodes that you have and do give it a watch as well, because sometimes you can see some relations between the stories lah. And if you guys like to binge watch like me, when I find a new subscribers, what I do is I start from the first episode ever all the way to the end. But again, I'm not so confident with my current setup, so I won't say anything much lah. But that comes to the end of the video for today. Hope you guys enjoy the 4 stories. If you guys want more stories, do let me know again down the comment, and like this video, share if you can. Hopefully we can grow this community where we can share ghost stories, we can do many things lah. Maybe a meet session where all of us share our experiences. It'll be the best thing ever. So don't forget, get your friends to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.